Calvinism teaches the false doctrine of limited atonement. For brevity's sake, I'll be posting the definition on the screen, so feel free to pause the video and give that a read. But first, I'd like to point out that consistent Calvinism teaches eternal justification for the elect, and therefore eternally imputed righteousness by virtue of election and mystical union with Christ. And I'll include that definition as well. Logically, this makes Calvinist soteriology fall apart. Why? Because this means that election equals salvation in Calvinism, not grace or faith in what Jesus accomplished through his death, burial, and resurrection, as the scriptures say. So this also means that anyone chosen for salvation never really needed salvation because they were already saved from eternity past, but then for some reason became lost and needed to be irresistibly regenerated out of supposed spiritual deadness to believe the gospel and then get saved. This begs the question, why did the elect ever need to be saved? Why did Jesus come to die for the elect who were already in him, in Christ, and who were already righteous? What did they need saving from? Why weren't they born sinless? See how silly it becomes? And see how silly Calvinism is and how it pokes holes in the character of God and the gospel and the necessity of Jesus? It doesn't make any sense, but salvation is not complicated. And when you simply use the Bible on its own authority and reject the words of men, it becomes very clear. I'd like to also mention that Calvinism makes the mistake of thinking the atonement saves. However, if you read Romans 3:25, for example, as well as Romans 5:8 through 11, and 1 Corinthians 15:12 through 17, it makes it very clear that both Jesus' death and his resurrection and faith therein are necessary to be saved. The atonement is applied to anyone and everyone who puts their faith in Christ. The atonement is universally extended but not universally applied. Calvinists think that the atonement's accomplishment is the same as its application, but this is wrong. You have to believe in order to receive the atonement, as the scriptures say. Stay tuned for part 2.